Welcome back. Welcome back. Glad you returned. And if this is your first listening or viewing experience, then hey, I welcome you. What's up? What's good with you? What's really, really, really good? I always ask that question at the beginning of my podcast, simply because, you know what? Everything really, really is good. Forget about how does that phrase go? I don't use it, so it's hard for me. Same day, no, not same stuff, different day. It shouldn't be the same stuff, different day, when this is the day that the Lord, a new day that the Lord has made for us to rejoice and be glad in it. So this is a new day. Everything about this day is new. It shouldn't be the same stuff unless you choose for it to be the same stuff. If you choose for it to be, then that's what it'll be. If you choose for it to go differently and be differently, see, you may still be experiencing the same circumstance, but you can change the lenses that you look at it with. You can change the perception of how you see it. You can approach it in a different manner. You can approach it with a solution mind, with looking at it with strategies and tactics, as opposed to looking at it as it's still being a burden on your shoulders. It's weighing you down, it's heavy, it's being an anchor, it's being changed, it's slowing you up. You can change all of that. So that's what you have to do, so that it won't be the same stuff on a different day. Got me? All right, this is the Act Accordingly series podcast, and I'm your host, Daniel J. Williams. And the purpose of this podcast is to show men not only how to identify, but more importantly, how to walk away from certain habits and patterns in our lives that keeps us living in cycles of frustration. And I said us because, you know what? I'm still experiencing life. I'm still moving and traveling and journeying through life. So therefore, there are going to be things that's going to come up that's not in my playbook, that's not going to be written in my plan. It's not a part of my script. And I have to know how to be able to maneuver, not get frustrated and bogged down in that's not what I wanted to happen, and get frustrated with trying to force it, but be able to be flexible and be able to maneuver and adjust and alter certain things in order for me to still go in the direction that I want to go, although it's not written out the way that I want it to be written out. I can still get there. Don't be so rigid and fixated on, oh man, that's not in the plan. That's not in the plan. It has to fix the plan. It doesn't have to fit the plan, but it does have to fit and go with the vision. The vision is the broad picture, right? The plan, that's a strategy to get there, but the strategy can be altered. Not the vision, but the strategy. Got that? All right, listen, I'm not going to prolong this any longer because I know you have things to do. I've got things to do. We have things to do. We have people waiting on us and depending on us to take care of business. In fact, you know what? That kind of leads into what I want to talk about in this podcast. The title of this podcast is Utilize and Leverage. Utilize and leverage. So what am I going to be talking about with utilize and leverage? I'm going to be talking about, obviously, it doesn't have to be money, time. Because time is that commodity that is so precious. That is, once you burn it up, I mean, you could always get more money, but you'll never be able to get more time. Once the time has been mismanaged, that's it. Once it's been managed well, it's not that you have more time, but you know how to use your time more appropriately. You'll be able to utilize it the way that you'd rather utilize it because you leveraged it well. Follow what I'm saying? If you leverage your time well enough, you can utilize it in the way that you'd rather be using it, rather than always in a rush, a rush to the next thing, I didn't get that done. I feel like I'm behind. So what I want to say is this. Since tomorrow's not promised, right? That means you have to, let me say it correctly. tomorrow's not promised, but that doesn't mean you have to wait and see what happens on tomorrow. Just because tomorrow's not promised, scripture says tomorrow's not promised to us, but we plan everything like we know we're going to have tomorrow, as if we know tomorrow is going to be ours. Although it's not promised, we still don't want to be in a position of, okay, tomorrow's not promised, so let's just see what happens tomorrow. I'm just gonna live for today. Because see, living for today that's mismanagement of your time. Actually, when you start to live for today, you decide you're just gonna live for today, you're actually behind time. You're behind time because you want to use your 86,400 seconds, your 1,440 minutes, your 24 hours on today for tomorrow, actually. So whatever you did yesterday, it should have been for today. And what you're doing today is going to be for tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying be a machine. You're obviously not going to be utilizing every second, every minute, and every hour of your day. But I'm talking about your waking hours. You want to utilize and leverage your waking hours on today to ensure that tomorrow you'll be in the best position to move forward more effortlessly and without so much tension and pressure, because you knew that you wanted to have this done tomorrow. You knew that you would wanted to do this on tomorrow. You're always forecasting and looking forward to the next day. We don't live for the day, the moment. We should be present in the moment of what we're doing, but in the presence of what we're doing in this moment is to ensure better for the time that's going to continue to progress, that we're moving towards and that's coming towards us. So you're not living for today. You're actually always living for tomorrow. So you want to utilize your waking seconds, minutes, and hours wisely. You want to utilize and leverage them to be in the best possible scenario for tomorrow. And how do you do that? Well, I mean, I don't know, but I know one. No, I do know. I shouldn't have said that. Got to be selective of your words too. When you're speaking, be so selective of your words and the things that you say. I do know. And what I want to say is, if, because I know a lot of us as guys, we don't like to follow agendas and make agendas and schedules. We don't like to write things out. We don't like to write things out. We like to try and keep it all up here. And like, oh, I'll remember. But listen, how many things encounter you during the course of a day? You have multiple people coming at you. Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? I need your help with this. I need you for this. Can you? And before long, you know what? You've pushed whatever you needed to do to the back of your mind, because now you're like, because of depending on who it is that's asking you something, if it's your boss or if it's your business partner, if it's your wife, if it's your kids, you'll have a tendency to like kind of put a great importance on that because of the relationship you have. But you need to understand this. What you plan for tomorrow, you said, I need to get this done tomorrow. That means you've already put a deadline on it. And once you put a deadline on it, now you need to go back and do this. You need to arrange it in order of importance. So you're going to have at the top of your agenda, you're going to have what's non-negotiable. This is non-negotiable. It doesn't matter what anybody asks. This has to be done first and foremost. If this isn't done, then the remainder of the day is going to be out of order. It's going to be out of order. You may still get things done, but it'll be out of order. It won't happen with the ease of saying, all right, I got a non-negotiable. And then the next tier, it would be, so it's 3 tiers that you would want to work from. The first is your non-negotiable tier. That's non-negotiable. That means it has to be done. That is the thing that is mandatory. And then after your non-negotiable, then your next tier is going to be your extremely urgent. Falls right under that non-negotiable. After extremely urgent, then you have your highly important. Now, once you get those 3 things taken care of, guess what you do? It's not that the other things are just, everything else is just goes important. You don't even want to change. You don't even want to change how you look at everything. Now, the next order will be non-negotiable, highly urgent, extremely urgent, highly important. You just want to keep using those 3 tiers with everything you have to do in your day like that again and again. Why I say only those 3 tiers? Why not just why not non-negotiable, extremely urgent, highly important, less important, important, and then on and on? Because the less value you put on what you have to do during the day, the less likely you are to get to it. So once you take care of those first 3 tiers, you're going to use those same 3 tiers for the rest of the things on your list. That helps you fight distraction. That keeps you working to make sure and ensure that your deadlines are met. And once your deadlines are met, there's no such thing as free time. You don't get free time. There is no downtime. There's no leisure time. Now you can move more, you're able to move about a little more effortlessly. But you want to handle those things and you want to handle them immediately. So that way you're staying ahead as much as possible. It's better to have it done before the deadline than to be waiting till it gets close to the deadline and then you're in a push. And then something may happen along the way that you didn't count on. And now you have to factor that in. You have to add that in, but it wasn't factored in before. And now you're really under the gun to do it. But if you did it while you had the opportunity, then you're ahead of the deadline. It gives you a little bit more time. The more that you have done, the more that you can get done. Think about that whenever you're planning your schedule and you want to look at your day and be like, okay, I got this and I got this. Oh man, I get this done right here. I got so much time. Nah, nothing can wait. The more that you get done, the more you're able to get done. So when all those other things come up at you during the course of the day, you can be like, oh, sure, I can handle that. I got my list done. I've met my deadline. So that you're actually able to always be ahead and move a little less effortlessly throughout things, right? So it also comes down to this. You ready for it? Knowing what to say yes to and knowing what you can say yes to. Knowing what to say yes to and knowing when you can say yes to something. It's important for you to know time management. The better the grasp you have on time management, the less pressure you're feeling, the less rush you're feeling. You don't feel like there's not enough hours in the day for you to do all that you can do. That's if you're mismanaging your time. That's if you're saying yes to too many things. When you already have a tight schedule and you continue saying yes to things because you don't know how to say, listen, I got this list of things right here. I just wouldn't be able to accommodate you and give you my attention and help you with it in the way that you would need me to help you. I can't do it at this moment. If you can wait on me to get this done, then I can definitely help you. But if not, until I free this up, I'm not going to be able to do it. I mean, you're going to have to know what to say yes to and when to say yes. That's the biggest, I think that's our biggest fall. That's the thing that cripples us the most with time management as men. Not knowing when to say yes and what to say yes to. And then, here's the thing about that too. What really gets us into trouble, especially if you're a man of your word, you're very honorable, and people know this, they'll take advantage of it sometimes because he's a man of his word. If he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. And now because you know it, you're under pressure and you feel like, oh, I shouldn't have said yes, but I gave him my word. Now I have to honor it. And you get taken advantage of for that sometimes. So you have to learn how to, hey, it's not saying no, but it maybe can turn into a not at the moment, not right now, or let them know like, hey, I have these things right here that I have to complete. I have to get these things done. When I'm done with this, if you haven't found any help, I can help you then. You got to know what to say yes to and when to say yes. It's not necessarily having to be a no, because remember, the more that you get done, the more that you can do. The more that you get done, the more that you have done, then the more that you can do. It's all about time management. Utilize and leverage your time correctly. Or should I say, if you leverage your time, you can utilize your time the way that you choose, the way that you please. You got it? Man, I hope you got this. I hope this adds some value. Man, I hope you get something from it. I hope you walk away looking at, you know what, maybe I could take some pressure off my back if I went on ahead and just met the deadline ahead of deadline. Meet the deadline ahead of deadline, and you know what? You'll always have more time. The more that's done, the more you're able to do effortlessly. Let's say that. The more you get, you know what? Let me see, I keep editing it as I go. The more that's done, the more that you can look at and say what you would want to do with that time that you still have to utilize. The more that you have done, you've gotten what you need to be done. It's not layoff time. You still can be working on other things that are continue to put you in a better position, but definitely meet your deadlines before deadline, because the more that you have done, the more that you can look at and say what you want to do. That sounds so much better. The more that you get done, the more ability you have to say, okay, I can do that. Okay, I'll go at that. Yes to this, yes to that. This is the Act Accordingly series. I'm your host, Daniel J. Williams. I hope that this brought something to the table that you could use and utilize and leverage so that you can find a way to utilize your time more wisely, which in turn will give you the option of saying what you want to say yes to, when you want to say yes to it, if you want to say yes to it, and not be under pressure and be taken advantage of because you're a man of honor and what you say you'll do, that you do. Once again, this is the Act Accordingly series podcast. I'm your host, Daniel J. Williams. And reach out to me, please do. Reach out to me. If you're an emailer, reach me at the number 2, actaccordingly@gmail.com. The number 2, actaccordingly@gmail.com. And if you're not following me on my social media platforms, and I don't understand why you're not, okay, you don't know. So here it is. Facebook, Daniel J. Williams. On Facebook, you can find me at Daniel J. Williams. On Instagram, there's 2 accounts. The first account, the word 1, the number 2, triumph. The word 1, the number 2, triumph. 1 to triumph. 1 to triumph. And the second account is the number 2, Act Accordingly on IG. All right? Yo, listen. Get from under pressure. Get from under the burden of being behind time and rushing to meet deadlines. Meet the deadline before the deadline. That way, you're able to have more done, and you have the freedom to say what you want to do with that other time. All right? Got it? Good. Act accordingly.